Hello everyone, today we're working on a 2005 Chevy Silverado 4x4. We've got a front CV boot that has a crack in it and it's leaking some of the grease out, so we're going to pull out that CV shaft and replace the boot. The knuckle itself is nice and tight, so we have no reason really to change the whole shaft or half shaft assembly. So we're going to go through the procedure to get that out. First off, we got the vehicle blocked up and on jack stands, and the first thing is you get that wheel off. Snap-on makes a tool for taking off these caps because they're in there tight. You got to get that cap off to take the nut off on that shaft to be able to get it out. And this has got kind of a knife edge on it on each side, and they're kind of curved a little bit. And you can use a hammer on them to get in there and drive this in to get them out. And you can wiggle that cap off with these in. It works fairly nice. Pretty decent tool to have for that. If you don't have that, a guy can use a screwdriver or a small chisel or something like that to get it back out, but that kind of saves a lot of the damage. There's going to be a nut under here and a washer. We've already got that off. We're going to buzz those off, and then down inside here on the half flange there's a we use a universal and just go in there and buzz that off. We've got them mostly all off already. What that does is get them bolts out there, a 15mm head. And once we get that out, we can get this out without having to take any of the ball joints or anything loose. Some of the older trucks you had to take that loose, but on this one here we can wiggle that shaft out. We can get this down back here on that flange so it can bypass or go right, slide right by it. And we start pushing this out. And there's enough room in here by the sway bar end link and the shock absorber where you can get that shaft out of there. You gotta kind of wiggle it out. And once you get it out, you can see right here where we're leaking at. That's where the grease is split right there beside the clamp. So what we're going to do is we're going to clean that up, and I'm going to show you how to change out that CV boot. So, okay, what I've done is taken a slicer wheel, and there's a stainless steel clamp on the outboard end of that flange. And what we've got to do is slice through, and I didn't slice through all the way. We sliced through a good part of the way, and then we'll hit it with a chisel, and that should knock it in two pieces so we can get it off. And that gets rid of that outer clamp to the outside. And then the inner one we'll use basically a side cutter, and on that we should be able to clean it off so I can see it. It's just what they call an Oetiker clamp, and we should be able to get in there or even use that little chisel to do that. And that knocks that inner one off. And then what we do is we'll take a Stanley knife and basically just cut it off. Slice it in two. Once you got that sliced in two, you can get that out of there. Once it's out of there, we got to clean all that grease off because there's a snap ring in there we got to release to get that shaft apart. And I'm going to go ahead and clean this up. What I do is I usually blow as much of the grease out into a rag with a blowgun as I can because it's kind of a runny grease. It's kind of a semi-fluid grease. And then I go ahead and take that snap ring out. The snap ring, we can see it's right there. And grab a tool here and we'll pop that out. You got to spread that snap ring. I got a snap ring pliers there. It's kind of a 90-degree bend on it. You basically get down in there, and it pulls that shaft out as you expand that. It's got a little snap ring groove right there that goes in. So now we've got it in two pieces, and what I do is clean out all that old grease as much as I can because the new CV boot comes with brand new grease that we'll fill that with. You can see all the balls in there. There's 5 or 6 balls in there for that CV joint. And again, this joint was nice and tight. The only problem was it was starting to leak some lube. So we'll get this cleaned up and we'll start to put it back together again. Okay, when I clean out this hub here of the grease, the old grease, I grab a paper towel or whatever you have for rags, and I put it over it and basically cover it up as much as I can below compressed air, and that'll get a lot of that crap out so you don't load up your solvent tank or whatever you're doing. It helps get a lot of it out of the picture. So just a little hint to make it go a little easier for you. Okay, the new CV boot comes with 2 clamps. It's got the smaller clamp, it's got the larger clamp. It's also got a tube of grease that comes with it for relubing the inside balls where the CV boot is at, CV joint is at. And when we put this on, first thing we do, now before we get started with that, the groove right here, if it's rusty at all, take a wire brush and clean up that area, because that boot seat's right there and that needs to be clean. And I did the same out here in this outer hub, right in that area. Just get all the rust off towards the outside of that. But we put that clamp on first and we slide that boot over until we get to those grooves. And it'll clamp on about right there. And there's a special tool that we use to clamp on that boot, or not the boot, but the boot clamp. And what it has, it's got 2 edges there, and it's got a centerpiece that comes in as you tighten it. And on those there, we usually take them in, and this is an adjustable clamp, so we take it in about as far as it'll go. And it's adjustable, so if there's different size, this one clamp will fit many different sizes of shaft. But it's adjustable. We got little teeth there, and we take it to the tightest point, and then we bring it in snug. And basically I squeeze it in like so. And just so it's nice and tight and can't leak that grease out. Okay, and then we set that aside for right now. And we clamp the CV joint in there. We'll put this boot over it, that clamp over it. And then we fill this up. We clean this out. I use starting fluid. Basically I fill it up with ether after I get done with the solvent tank and blow it all out and get as much of that old grease out as I can. And then we pump the new grease right on into that joint, around the bearings. Use the whole tube of it or whatever they supply. Sometimes it's a bag, sometimes it's a tube like this. Basically we get that grease in around and right in there where that shaft goes to. And the centrifugal force will throw that grease around too and get the lubrication where it needs. But just try to get as much as you can on those balls and on where they ride at. And then what we do, there's a snap ring in there, and that snap ring, basically we're tapered right here, so that'll open that snap ring up and it comes right up and it seats on that groove in that shaft. And you test it and make sure it's tight so it don't come out. And then what we'll do is pop that on the outside there, and then we'll put this clamp on. And again, this clamp is adjustable, so we'll take it to about the smallest setting we can. And it might have already been there. Yeah, it's about as small as we're going to get. And then we bring it up tight. And that's about it. It's all done. Now we reverse the process of putting it back in. And that fixes our bad boot. Okay, we're ready to put this back in the vehicle. And what you do is bring it up through the A-frame, the lower A-frame there, and bring it up by the shock absorber and the sway bar end link, and it'll slip right in. Wiggle it around in there, and the splines will line up on that wheel bearing. There it goes. And then we can bring the flange up, and what we'll do is finish putting those bolts in. I'll usually put a little bit of Loctite on those, removable Loctite, just to make sure they stay snug. Then we'll put the washer nut on here, torque those down, put the cap on, and that's it for this job. So it's not that hard on these Chevys. Some of them you have to take the A-frame loose to get them out, like on some of the cars and that, but this Chevy truck's fairly easy, so don't be afraid to tackle this one. I want to thank you for watching my video and have a great day. Thank you for watching my YouTube video. Please check out my other videos on my YouTube page. And I want to introduce you to AMSO's full line of synthetic lubricants. We have the most complete line of synthetics for your automotive and light truck needs, as well as heavy equipment and semis. Full line of synthetics, been around since 1972. And you can check those out at www.donsoil.com. Also, we have a page for looking up fluid capacities, and that one is fluidcapacity.com. And you can go in there and you can get all your fluid capacities of your vehicle. You can print off a list so that you've got all the capacities of your cooling system, your transmission, your engine, all those. And have a great day.